All right. Yesterday we had left off with invocation, evocation, I should say last night. So we're going to pick up there again today. I'm just going to read that last paragraph again, as this is really important stuff. And we're still in chapter 6 of the reappearance of the Christ. And we're getting pretty close to the end here. So, all right. The science of invocation and evocation will take the place of what we now call prayer and worship, but not disturbed by the use of the word science. Or, I'm sorry, be not disturbed by the use of the word science. It is not the cold and heartless intellectual thing so often depicted. It is in reality the intelligent organization of spiritual energy and of the forces of love, and these, when effective, will evoke the response of spiritual beings who can again walk openly among men and thus establish a close relation and a constant communication between humanity and the spiritual hierarchy. This is discussed quite a bit in a treatise on white magic, and I want to say Raisin Initiations. And is definitely there are definitely other books important to read and study. Let's keep going. In order to clarify, it might be said that invocation is of three kinds. There is, as stated above, the mass demand unconsciously voiced and the crying appeal wrung from the hearts of men in all times of crisis, such as the present. This invocative cry rises ceaselessly from all men living in the midst of disaster. It is addressed to that power outside themselves, which they feel can and should come to their help in their moment of extremity. This great and wordless invocation is rising everywhere today. Then there is the invocational spirit, evidenced by sincere men as they participate in the rites of their religion and take advantage of the opportunity of united worship and prayer to lay their demands for help before God. This group, added to the mass of men, creates a huge body of invocative applicants, and at this time, their massed intent is in great evidence, and their invocation is rising to the Most High. Then, lastly, there are the trained disciples and aspirants of the world who use certain forms of words, certain carefully defined invocations, and who, as they do this, focus the invocative cry and the invocative appeal of the other two groups, giving it right direction and power. All these three groups are consciously or unconsciously swinging into activity at this time, and their united effort guarantees a resultant evocation. This new invocative work will be the keynote of the coming world religion and will fall into two parts. There will be the invocative work of the masses of the people everywhere, trained by the spiritually minded people of the world, working in the churches whenever possible under an enlightened clergy to accept the fact of the approaching spiritual energies, focused through Christ and his spiritual hierarchy, and trained also to voice their demand for light, liberation, and understanding. There will also be the skilled work of invocation as practiced by those who have trained their minds through right meditation, who know the potency of formulas, mantras, and invocations, and who work consciously. They will increasingly use certain great formulas of words, which will later be given to the race, just as the Lord's Prayer was given by the Christ, and as the new invocation has been given out for the use at the time by the hierarchy. This new religious science, for which prayer, meditation, and ritual have prepared humanity, will train its people to present at stated periods throughout the year the voiced demand of the people of the world for relationship with God and for a closer spiritual relation to each other. This work, when rightly carried forward, will evoke response from the waiting hierarchy and from its head, the Christ. Through this response, the belief of the masses will gradually be changed into the conviction of the knowers. In this way, the mass of men will be transformed and spiritualized, and the two great divine centers of energy or groups, the hierarchy and humanity itself, will begin to work in complete at-one and unity. Then the kingdom of God will indeed and in truth be functioning on earth. It looks like there might be a line missing here, actually, or there's a mistake, something wrong with this PDF. And I gave my, I sent a friend of mine my book, and I didn't order a new one yet, so I'm going to have to keep going here. The expansion of the human consciousness, which will take place as a result of the coming great approach, will enable humanity to grasp not only its relation to the spiritual life of our planet, the one in whom we live and move and have our being, but will also give a glimpse of the relation of our planet to the circle of planetary lives moving within the orbit of the sun, and the still greater circle of spiritual influences which contact our system as it pursues its orbit in the heavens, the 12 constellations of the zodiac. Astronomical and astrological investigation has demonstrated this relationship and the influence is exerted, but there is still speculation and much foolish claiming and interpretation. Yet the churches have ever recognized this, and the Bible has testified to it. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera. That's from Judges 5. Who can withstand the sweet influences of the Pleiades? From Job 38. Many other passages bear out this contention of the knowers. Many church festivals are fixed by reference to the moon or a zodiacal constellation. Investigation will prove this to be the case, and when the ritual of the New World religion is universally established, this will be one of the important factors considered. You know, and the name of our channel is Warrior Charts. We gift astrology charts to people. We use an astrologer who has been doing this for over 40 years, who also studies the ageless wisdom, and who is very much in tune with astrology and how it plays out in our lives. And we've discussed this in the previous books. And in, I know I'm reading it in Rays and Initiations. Astrology absolutely is foundational. There's two sides of it, right? So there's the exoteric and the esoteric, but, it's still a good way, and it's still a piece of the puzzle for those who are, inquiring and starting to learn. We find, it's very important, and we do promote, understanding our personality profile and seeing what energies we're working with and all. So. But the establishing of certain major festivals in relation to the moon and in a lesser degree to the zodiac will bring about a strengthening of the spirit of invocation and the resultant inflow of evoked influences. The truth lying behind all invocation is based upon the power of thought, particularly its telepathic nature, rapport, and aspect. The unified invocative thought of the masses and the focused directed thought of the new group of world servers constitute an outgoing stream of energy. This will reach telepathically those spiritual beings who are sensitive and responsive to such impacts. Their evoked response, sent out as spiritual energy, will in turn reach humanity after having been stepped down into thought energy, and in that form will make its due impact upon the minds of men, convincing them and carrying inspiration and revelation. Thus has it ever been in the history of the spiritual unfoldment of the world, and the procedure followed in writing the world's scriptures. And that is definitely worthy of another read and another hard look there. Their evoked response is sent out as spiritual energy. And will in turn reach humanity after having been stepped down into thought energy. So it's coming down from the higher planes and into the lower three, and will, find its way to the brain, into the consciousness. Secondly, the establishing of a certain uniformity in the world religious rituals will aid men everywhere to strengthen each other's work and enhance powerfully the thought currents directed to the awaiting spiritual lives. At present, the Christian religion has its great festivals. The Buddhist keeps his different set spiritual events, and the Hindu has still another list of holy days. In the future world, when organized, all men of spiritual inclination and intention everywhere will keep the same holy days. This will bring about a pooling of spiritual resources and a united spiritual effort, plus a simultaneous spiritual invocation. The potency of this will be apparent, and it absolutely is apparent. Let me indicate the possibilities of such spiritual events and attempt to prophesy the nature of the coming worldwide festivals. There will be 3 such major festivals each year, concentrated in 3 consecutive months and leading therefore to a prolonged annual spiritual effort, which will affect the remainder of the year. These will be the festival of Easter. This is the festival of the risen living Christ, the teacher of all men and the head of the spiritual hierarchy. He is the expression of the love of God. On this day, the spiritual hierarchy, which he guides and directs, will be recognized, and the nature of God's love will be emphasized. This festival is determined always by the date of the first full moon of spring and is the great Western and Christian festival. Two is the festival of Wesak. This is the festival of the Buddha, the spiritual intermediary between the highest spiritual center, Shambhala, and the hierarchy. The Buddha is the expression of the wisdom of God, the embodiment of light, and the indicator of the divine purpose. This will be fixed annually in relation to the full moon of May, as is at present the case. It is the Great Eastern Festival. And then there's the festival, the third one is the Festival of Goodwill. This will be the festival of the spirit of humanity, aspiring towards God, seeking conformity with the will of God, and dedicated to the expression of right human relations. This will be fixed annually in relation to the full moon of June. It will be a day whereon the spiritual and divine nature of mankind will be recognized. On this festival for 2,000 years, the Christ has represented humanity and has stood before the hierarchy, and in the sight of Shambhala as the God-man, the leader of his people, and the eldest in a great family of brothers, from Romans 8. Okay, so that was the end of that sentence, but yeah, so that's been going on for 2,000 years. Each year at that time, he has preached the last sermon of the Buddha before the assembled hierarchy. This will therefore be a festival of deep invocation and appeal of a basic aspiration towards fellowship of human and spiritual unity, and will represent the effect in the human consciousness of the work of the Buddha and of the Christ. These 3 festivals are already being kept throughout the world, though they are not as yet related to each other and are a part of the unified spiritual approach of humanity. The time is coming when all three festivals will be kept throughout the world, and by their means, a great spiritual unity will be achieved, and the effects of the great approach, so close to us at this time, will be stabilized by the united invocation of humanity throughout the planet. The remaining full moons will constitute lesser festivals, but will be recognized to be also of vital importance. They will establish the divine attributes in the consciousness of man, just as the major festivals established the three divine aspects. These aspects and qualities will be arrived at and determined by a close study of the nature of a particular constellation or constellations influencing those months. For instance, Capricorn will call attention to the first initiation, the birth of the Christ in the cave of the heart, and indicate the training needed to bring about that great spiritual event in the life of the individual man. I gave this one instance to you in order to indicate the possibilities for spiritual unfoldment that could be given through an understanding of these influences, and in order to revivify the ancient faiths by expanding them into their larger undying relationships. So again, more study there for sure. Thus, the 12 annual festivals will constitute a revelation of divinity. They will present a means of bringing about relationship, first of all, during 3 months with the three great spiritual centers. First of all, during 3 months with the three great spiritual centers, the three expressions of the divine Trinity, the minor festivals will emphasize the interrelation of the whole, thus lifting the divine presentation out of the individual and the personal into that of the universal divine purpose. The relationship of the whole to the part and of the part to the whole will be thereby fully expressed. Wow, that's beautiful. I wish I could explain what all that is, but I need to do my own research there. Humanity will therefore invoke the spiritual power of the kingdom of God, the hierarchy. The hierarchy will respond, and God's plan will then be worked out on earth. The hierarchy, on a higher turn of the spiral, will invoke the center where the will of God is known, thus invoking the purpose of God. Thus will the will of God be implemented by love and manifested intelligently. For this mankind is ready, and for this earth waits. To sum up, therefore, on the basis of the fundamental truth already recognized, the New World religion will be built. On the basis of the fundamental truth already recognized, the New World religion will be built. The definition of religion, which will in the future prove of greater accuracy than any yet formulated by the theologians, might be expressed as follows. Religion is the name given to the invocative appeal of humanity and the evocative response of the greater life to that cry. Pretty cut and dry there. It is, in fact, the recognition by the part of its relationship to the whole, plus a constantly growing demand for increased awareness of that relation. It draws forth the recognition of the whole that the demand has been made. It is the impact of the vibration of humanity oriented specifically to the great life of which it feels itself a part. Upon that life and the responsive impact of that all surrounding love upon the lesser vibration. It is only now that the impact of the human vibration can dimly be sensed in Shambhala. Hitherto, its most potent activity has only reached a hierarchy. Religion, the science of invocation and evocation, as far as humanity is concerned, is the approach in the coming new age of a mentally polarized humanity. In the past, religion has had an entirely emotional appeal. It concerned the relation of the individual to the world of reality, of the seeking aspirant to the sought-for divinity. Its technique was the process of fitting oneself for the revelation of that divinity, of achieving a perfection which would warrant that revelation, and of developing a sensitivity and a loving response to the ideal man, summarized for present-day humanity in the Christ. Christ came to end the cycle of this emotional approach, which had existed since Atlantean days. He demonstrated in himself the vision perfection, and then presented to humanity an example in full manifestation of every possibility latent in man up to that time. The achieving of the perfection of the Christ consciousness became the emphasized goal of humanity. Today, slowly, the concept of a world religion and the need for its emergence are widely desired and worked for. The fusion of faiths is now a field for discussion. Workers in the field of religion will formulate the universal platform of the new world religion. It is a work of loving synthesis and will emphasize the unity and the fellowship of the Spirit. This group is, in a pronounced sense, a channel for the activities of the Christ, the world teacher. The platform of the new world religion will be built by many groups working under the inspiration of the Christ. So we can see there will be some unity in the teaching. It's not, it shouldn't be too far, too different. Churchmen need to remember that the human spirit is greater than all the churches and greater than their teaching. In the long run, that human spirit will defeat them and proceed triumphantly into the kingdom of God. I'm sorry, let me read that again. Churchmen need to remember that the human spirit is greater than all the churches and greater than their teaching. In the long run, that human spirit will defeat them and proceed triumphantly into the kingdom of God, leaving them far behind unless they enter as a humble part of the mass of men. Nothing under heaven can arrest the progress of the human soul on its long pilgrimage from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real, from death to immortality, and from ignorance to wisdom. If the great organized religious groups of churches in every land and composing all faiths do not offer spiritual guidance and help, humanity will find another way. Nothing can keep the spirit of man from God. Well, wouldn't that be a real shame? That would be a resultant of something like what happened to the Jews, where they got stuck in an old dispensation. That wouldn't be good. The church, and then you'd still potentially have the Jews stuck. So now we would have more stuck. Let's hope we can, the churches can begin to offer spiritual guidance and help. The churches in the West need also to realize that basically there is only one church, but it is not necessarily only the Orthodox Christian institution. God works in many ways through many faiths and religious agencies. This is one reason for the elimination of non-essential doctrines. By the emphasizing of the essential doctrines and in their union, will the fullness of truth be revealed. This, the New World religion, will do, and its implementation will proceed apace after the reappearance of the Christ. Well, friends, that is the end of the 6th chapter. tomorrow we will move on to chapter 7, the preparation for the reappearance of the Christ. I know that we're going to be talking about preparing the minds of men. So chapter 6 was primarily about the New World religion. And, we can ponder on what was said here and what this might end up looking like on the physical plane. What a beautiful time it will be, certainly. Not to say that we don't have work to get to that point, but all right, we will get back at this again tomorrow, or maybe even later today. But have a good day, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.